Okay, welcome guys to a talk through of a 9 minute and 1 second 1000% enrage Amascut kill. This is from the base perspective this time, and we got a really nice kill, and I thought I would show it off and talk about a few things that we do to make things fast that may be applicable in your kills as well. So I've got the Twitch VOD up here, and the gear that we have, I've got some Crypt Bloom here. You absolutely want at least 4-piece Crypt Bloom. I would recommend 5. You can get by with other stuff, of course, but Crypt Bloom is incredibly strong with the 4-piece set effect, giving you the chance to inflict fungal spores on your opponent, which makes everyone standing behind the boss do, I think it's like 10 or 15% more damage for 10 or 15 seconds. I forget the numbers, but it's a lot, basically. So you really want that. I've also got a melee hybrid swap as well, which we'll be using in the downtime of the fight when the boss isn't attacking and just doing lots of damage. So, to start off, we are getting our full adren in our melee vestments. We have the 120% adren bonus. Then we are clicking on the dummy. I'm actually casting the Exekill special here. Recharge my adrenaline. Then we're going to stay in combat by using Dive and Lord of Bones. Both of this keep us in combat, but most importantly, they keep our ability stalled up. Any other kind of ability breaks it, like any defensives, you lose the Exekill. So, I dive in, I target cycle and smoke cloud. The smoke cloud releases the Exekill spec that I had stored, and then I also chuck a little quake on the boss as well. Switch to my magic stuff and then sunshine. The boss has a little triple attack there. It can be in any order, mage, range, melee, something like that. If you pray incorrectly, then the boss will stun you. Just got to be a little bit careful about that. And then around about 30 seconds, you do want to make sure you're popping the immortality ability, because this bend the knee attack is a little bit on the dangerous side. Luckily, our team here is super awesome, and well, they phased the boss already, so it's incredibly fast. Lots and lots of damage. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to come around here a little bit and help with one of the sides. You can do the other side if you want to, but giving them a little bit of help with the chain warden and then disappearing off is quite a nice thing to do to help speed them up. And then because I am helping speed them up, chances are this statue over here is going to be chosen, because whatever chains are killed, the opposite side is done first. And also because I helped them out, it should mean that someone on the other end of the portal can then get the other statue, because they'll be out way sooner. And then finish up the crocodiles, and then here I've realized in the future, this is future me, Natural Instinct, very OP here. I should do Natural Instinct and Meteor Strike, because you can't attack the boss properly until someone hands in one of the fragments of Tumican. So having that extra adrenaline would be really, really good, especially if you can afford to bring a like a Dragon Claw EOF or something. That would be huge. Huge. So I would definitely recommend that. And then this is the down phase that I was mentioning. This is where the Zerk is for, just doing lots and lots of damage. And happy days, really. Happy days. Make sure we're quaking, getting the debuffs on, because this boss has very high defense. And you gotta hope that the necromancers in your team give you some Lord of Bones. The meleeers do a bit of quaking, and the mages do some G-staffing. This triple attack here, I would recommend anticipating against it. Very, very important. But otherwise, you are just kind of trying to survive. You can reflect if you want to. You can debilitate. But a lot of the time, honestly, you can soul split quite a bit. You've got the Hellhound, you've got your Fungal Shield with the 5-piece, which actually just procs right there. And the important part here is, once again, you get that immortality up a little bit after the triple attack, and then she does the bend the knee, you get one shot, and then you have to build back up for the barricade or the scarabs here as well, because they all explode and it really hurts. And then here it's a little bit up to you again which side you choose. You can go west, you can go east. I always kind of gravitate towards this east side for whatever reason. Chuck some scarabs in the portal, and then technically I could have gone in and helped a little bit, I think, But this time I decided, I believe, just to kind of stay out, throw in some, well, far too many scarabs. Actually, you only need 4. But the good part about this is you can do both of these statues by yourself, because they are, of course, right in the middle of the arena, and that is quite nice. So you can just surge back and forth, clicking them when they become active. They become active when your team kills a particular chain in the realm. So we get those. Someone from the other side came in there. Omid came in and activated that statue. Once again, we're doing the meteor strike to get some adrenaline, because we can't damage the boss right now until the statues are well, given to Mugen. So then we get our Zerk up. We're ready. The statues are handed in, and always good to disrupt those waves as well. Disruption shield is very, very good. And now we're just doing a lot of damage, you know, your barge, your assault. We got the Fury Overpower, we got the Chaos Roar Exakill, which does like 100k damage, by the way. It's very, very good. And then just whatever else you have left in the tank, getting him down to 2.25 million HP, I believe. And then in these kills here, I am doing a little bit of green tanking, and I also messed up. I didn't have enough adrenaline, so I said Sept, and thankfully Cat saved me there with that. So a little bit of comms, very, very good to do. But what we're doing here is we are alternating between the like every time she kind of slams, you then get marked, and the mark, if you take it once, you can see around me I've got some like smoke. If I were to take a green hit again, I will get instantly killed, and that's bad. That is very bad, so we don't want to have that happen. And my screen went yellow here, so that means I've got to stand in front of the boss. I'm just doing classic Tsunami FSOA metamorphosis kind of thing. But yeah, if you're chosen, you stand in front of the boss. You can either resonance, debilitate, reflect, or just tank it. Face tank it is fine as well. Do be very careful here, because when she teleports back, there's actually a bit of, she does like a double magic explosion, which is a little bit scary. So you want to make sure you watch out for that one. Definitely pray mage if you are close to the boss. But otherwise, you can see like food-wise, like it doesn't really hurt that much. Any like pain that you have like earlier on in the kill, you know, if you're in trouble, chuck on a little reflect or a debilitate. But honestly, like Soul Split and Crypt Bloom with Animate Dead and Hellhound Familiar as well for that 20% less damage taken, like it is so insanely strong. Like chances are, between special attacks, you don't really need much in terms of defensive prowess. Like I honestly like barely used reflect or debilitate during this whole kill. The important part, of course, is just getting those like triple prey flicks correct earlier on, and then just making sure you got that immortality up with that bend in the attack, because that thing does really, 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 really hurt, which you very much do not want. And then, oh dear, Wazzy hasn't overloaded. Classic. Surely he clicks it now, right? Surely he clicks the overload now. There we go. So always make sure you're overloaded, especially as the base, because otherwise you will get a bit clammed. But here it's kind of interesting. We're using some melee stuff and doing a nice little meteor strike into little Hydrix Ricochet. We're then doing a good old... Well, I thought I was going to berserk on the core here, but for some reason I decided, you know what? I'm just going to use thresholds. And then here is where you have a bit of a choice as to who goes up. So I could have gone up here. The Yumu's doing the same thing as I did, or I would have done. So he's meleeing and zerking up top. I've got my camera on freedom camera, and I'm just looking out for the symbols where I can. In your guys' teams, I would probably recommend going up as the base and potentially not doing the strat that we're about to do. So what I would recommend for most people is the base to go up with their ideally a melee swap, because either a melee or a Necroa is way faster up top than a magician, especially one in Crypt Bloom. But with the melee and the Zerg, you can get through the platforms quite quickly. And then as you come down here, I would recommend hovering in the middle as a mage. However, we do a slightly different strat here, which I don't know if it's any faster or not. I guess maybe arguably it's a bit more AoE to be done. But what we're doing here is everyone is grouped up behind the boss. What I'd recommend doing for your guys' kills is the base, or the guy who jumps up, turns his walk on and then gets to max range magic distance. And at that range, any attacks from the boss do not splinter onto the DPS pile. However, here we're just saying screw it. We got the devotion, we got the reflects, and that will keep us very, very safe. You can also vitality pot this part if you want to. Massive AoEs to be done, and just give them a good old kablam. And then, you know, that's with like Greater Chain, Omni Power, Tsunami, Dragon Breath, you know, just any kind of AoE. The Necromancer or Necromancer's doing a good old, you know, Invoke Death, Threads of Fate, no, Soul Sap Volley, Death Guard Spec or something like that. Maybe a Bloat in there as well. And then, yeah, just killing the boss down. Nice and easy DPS cap. And here we're really hoping for that sub 9. As you can see, it's like 8:23 on the clock. So it's like, surely a sub 9 is doable. All we have to do is not get the Scabrous corner. But here you're going to see why melee is so good as well. We've got a lot of, like I say, everyone's got their extra kills on. So we're just pre-zerking, getting some adren up, a couple of defensives, getting ready to barge in. And then here, if it wasn't Scabrous, we'd be very happy. Because then we could just literally instantly kill the boss. Unfortunately, this one does lose us a few seconds, because we have to kill the scarabs that are around. And then we have to throw them at the boss, and then it becomes damageable, and then we use our extra kills on it. And I didn't even attack, look, that was 4 people doing that. I didn't even get a chance to attack, so I was on scarab duty, and then the boss just dies. So that P7 there is why I would highly recommend a melee swap, especially for the DPSs. But honestly, like, as you can see, you can get by just fine as the base here as well. Like, I drank, what, 3 brew sips in the whole fight? Did I need to do that? Probably not, but it was probably topping my HP up at the beginning. Maybe just like rewind a little bit. Back to right at the start. Where are we? Just this one. Like, I'm really not doing too much in the defensive department. Like, let's even count the defensives that I use. Honestly, it's really not much. I guess it does depend a little bit on how comfortable you are with soul split flicking. Because I'm obviously soul split flicking quite a lot. Here, you know, a debilitate or a reflect could definitely go a long way. So, you know, don't be afraid to use those abilities. I was trying to, you know, go as fast as I can and limit test a little bit. I was like, how much do I really need to play defensively? And I figured, you know, I can kind of hover around a couple of thousand HP, and I was fine thanks to all the damage reduction from Crypt and Hellhound. So, you know, you are a lot safer than you think in full Crypt and Animate Dead, so do bear that in mind. Don't feel the need to always be full HP, like, it is not necessary at all. If I just rewind a little bit again, I was down to like 2000 HP there, but it is okay. It is completely fine. So yeah, do not fear. And you've got a nice 5k HP shield from the full piece Crypt as well. And there's the icon I was mentioning, by the way, at the beginning with that 4 piece. I believe it's a 6% chance every time the boss attacks you that you inflict these fungal spores, and that makes everyone behind the boss do more damage. So if we just flick back a bit, you can see here every single person here is behind the boss. Like, I'm as far away as I can be, and they're somewhat far away as well, but this is far enough that any attacks done on me do not jump to the DPS pile as well. So you really want to have the base on one side and the people on the other. It's up to you which side you prefer. It really doesn't matter. You know, the base could be on the right and the DPS on the left. It doesn't matter. But this is what we did, and it was really quite good. DPS people, you know, mages ideally trying to get those Ruby Aurora buffs, using Ruby Aurora spell auto attack sometimes, like with a detonate, you can do auto detonate ability, and you can potentially give your team 1% more damage for a little bit, up to 3%, and you know, 3% damage for each person over 8 million HP, like that's a lot. That really is a lot. So it is well worth it. I did a Lord of Bones, Blackstone Arrows, Gothic Staff, Quakes, even a Statius Warhammer, which I think we had one of those as well. You really want to make sure as a team you've got that 100% hit chance. It helps so much. I think Necromancy hits that quite easily with the extra levels that it gets and therefore accuracy. But yeah, Mage does struggle slightly, but Mage melee here is just so good. So good. Thanks to those phases where she's kind of sleeping. You can just free damage. You do so much in there, so definitely capitalize on that. And that's about it. I've apparently rambled for 15 minutes. I'm not quite sure how that's happened. But hopefully this has given you guys some confidence towards basing or just doing higher enrage in general. 1k is honestly really not that scary. And if you have the full crypt and a hellhound, you can base as well. So don't be afraid to start off with lower enrage. Don't be afraid to bring a bunch more food, but don't be afraid to be low HP. Like, it is okay. Defensives are OP as hell, and I barely used them in this fight, as you can tell, but if I did, I would be way more surviving, so it's really quite awesome. Yeah, that is the perspective for me on the 901 kill that we got. Really hoping for a sub 9 at some point. Should definitely be doable. Tidying up a bit and then not getting scabrous. But that's about it for this time. So hopefully you enjoyed, and I'll see you again soon.